Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of Brownsville Matters. I'm your host, Dr. W.F. Strong, and I have with me this morning Dr. Hilda Silva, who is an old friend of mine. I'm happy to have you. Welcome, Hilda.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Thank you.
And we're going to talk about many things, not only just university life and college education in Brownsville, but we want to talk about your life in Brownsville over many years. You were you born here?
No, I wasn't. In fact, you probably don't know this, but I was born in Fresno, California.
In Fresno, so
my parents.
You're an immigrant to Texas.
I was born there because my parents were migrant farm workers, and my mother was picking grapes at the time.
But was she from here?
Yes, from the valley.
From the valley.
So I was just born there because it just happened that we had migrated over there that summer. But as soon as I was born, 2 days later, they traveled back to the valley. Here. And I was raised in Mercedes, but I have been in Brownsville for 43 years.
A long, yeah.
So
you've seen many changes.
I consider Brownsville home for me. I've lived here. I've been of this area for a long time, certainly in the area of education, but, you know, it's a special place.
Were you yourself a migrant farm worker?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the lifestyle that I grew up in as a child, my childhood. Parents worked hard. And I think that, Bill, is where I learned about service, about hard working, and about the need to give back.
Did you work in the grapes?
I did not. I was born in the grapes field, but when I was old enough to travel with the family, I would travel to Fort Stockton to really working in the packing sheds. Oh. And my mother was in charge of hiring the ladies, the crew, to go work. My dad would hire some of the men, and they would take folks to these different places, camps, to work the field, the crop. So I was lucky in that my mother was in charge, so she put me in a spot that wasn't really tough. I was making boxes. The boxes that were used to pack whether it's the potatoes or the onions or whatever.
So what did you do mostly out there? Was it onions?
Onions and
cucumbers and potatoes?
Potatoes, yeah. And what I got from that is I would see my brothers work really hard. My brothers were the ones that were on the wheel where they were filling the bags of potatoes or the bags of onions, or dumping the onions from the truck into the chute to get them cleaned and then processed. So in the morning they would arrive clean. In the evening you couldn't even see their eyes. But you know, it was. You know, my sister says that I'm crazy when I say it was fun. It was because we were together for that whole a month that we were away for the summer to work. And we worked hard, long days, and we stayed in a camp with the other families. But I saw my mother.
When you say you stayed in a camp, do you mean that you camped in a tent?
Well, they had apartments, but it was a place for people to go to and stay. That they were seasonal. We were there to work simply, and then once we finished the job, then we would come home.
Did you have people there who were part of the Bracero program at that time?
Yes. In fact, my dad was in charge of taking some of the braceros. So I understand that lifestyle. I remember one year, the first year that I went with a group and arriving at this place in Muleshoe, Texas.
Muleshoe, yes.
And
That's out there by itself.
Getting to the camp, and what Mother saw was not acceptable. Places were dirty and so forth. So she went to the grower and said, "Family's not staying here. You either fix the place, get us a hotel for a couple of days, or we're going back home. Because I'm not putting my family in this. We need the job, but we don't need it this badly." So, and it's not just my family. I'm taking all 20 people with me.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So
I bet that got some action.
The grower fixed the place.
So she was a little Cesar Chavez there.
So
control the labor.
That's where my drive comes. That's where my understanding of what it means to speak up and to make sure that you do things the right way.
So when you came here to TSC, you were in charge of the camp program, right?
I started at TSC as a counselor in 1980, and the counselor through one of the It was a TRIO program, one of the federal programs. And then much later, I wrote the first camp program that was written for UTB-TSC. But I had been a student in the camp program at Pan Am in 1972.
What does CAMP stand for? It's an acronym.
It's College Assistance Migrant Program.
Migrant program. Okay, so it's designed to help people who grew up as migrants to get a college education, right?
It's really a support for the freshman year only. But it was the first year that camp was funded at Pan Am at the time.
Right.
And I was recruited into the program, and I loved it. And you know, my brothers before me had gone to college, so I was going to go, whether I had camp or not, because it was an expectation from my parents that we go. And that's the difference from today. I see my nieces and nephews, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to go. What do you mean you don't want to go to college? So that I see that as a difference. But
Why don't they want to go?
They just, you know, their priorities are maybe working or some other things instead of focused on. But to me, back then when we were growing up, it was expected, and I didn't think we had a choice. So I went through Pan Am the first year through the camp program, and I loved it, and I stayed. My junior and senior year, the other years I was on a scholarship, social work scholarship, because I was majoring in social work. So that's how I kind of saw my way through the university. But I learned a lot from camp because we were going through group mentoring. We got a lot of support. And I understood why that was important. But again, my brothers before me had gone to college, so I knew I was going to go. You know, my brother Santiago, who was always on us about going and staying focused and doing what we needed to do. But when I came back to TSC and I started working here, I felt a need to bring those programs to the campus because I understood firsthand the value and how important they were for my success.
When I talked to Julieta, to Dr. Garcia, about her perspective on education, the word that kept coming up over and over again was opportunity. She wanted to bring opportunity to people who hadn't had it,
right,
who hadn't had the advantage of the simple open door.
Sure.
And this is your thing too, right?
Yes,
is
absolutely.
It you wanted to bring opportunity.
Absolutely, and I saw it firsthand at TSC. And of course, now through the transition of UTB-TSC, we grew a lot of those programs. We brought in a lot of those TRIO programs like Upward Bound, Talent Search. I wrote the first Veterans Upward Bound grant. The very first in the state of Texas was for UTB-TSC. And it still remains now. So,
how is that different from Veterans Program? Veterans Upward Bound, how is that different from the Veterans Program?
Veterans.
Only with veterans.
It identifies veterans in the community and helps them access higher ed.
Okay.
And once they're there, it should make sure that they have the support they need to succeed, whether it's mentoring, tutoring, financial aid, helping them with their DD-214 to make sure they get their VA benefits or whatever it is that they need. But it focuses only on veteran students as compared to the other Upward Bound programs, which starts working with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And all of these programs really are geared, as you mentioned, to provide college access. Whether they choose our university or not, it's just helping them understand that they need to continue. And because we have many students in those programs that go on to out of state or go on to other universities. And most of them stay here, and which is good. But the whole notion of helping them get ready to go to college. And that's what I love. I mean, it's just my passion is to make sure that we understand what's important.
Okay, so now you're at TSC for a long time, and then when it became UTB-TSC, you became the Vice President for Student Services,
right,
in which you empowered all these programs to offer opportunity to different groups who needed help,
right,
from the veterans, migrant farm workers. So wherever you saw, a group that needed empowerment,
right,
you found the grant and you found the funding to make it possible. That's all. That's wonderful.
Yep.
And so as you were Vice President for Student Affairs Student Services for 20 years?
20-some odd years, because I was that from UTB-TSC, and then when we were UTB alone, I remained as Vice President for UTB. And then when we actually made the transition to UTRGV, that's when I went into a faculty position.
Okay.
As those as that change occurred.
And now you teach courses in leadership to teach other people to do what you have done
Exactly.
all these years.
So it's kind of a full circle.
Yes.
I love it because what I'm doing now is working with, and these are serious folks, they're working on their doctorate degree.
Mm-hmm.
They're professionals, they're principals, they're superintendents,
Right.
or they work at a college or university, so they just want to get their advanced degree to continue their work. And one of my favorite classes that I teach, it's called the American Community College class. And it's wonderful in that I'm able to talk about the role of a community college and why that's important. And it has.
And what is the role of a community
It
college?
has an important niche in the community because not all kids are going to go with the 4-year route, and they don't have to. If they want to get a certificate degree or associate degree, they can start at a community college, get the skills that they need to get a job. Because most of the students, a lot of them right now, the need is to work. Mm-hmm. Such as the economy that they feel a need to work and to help the family. So many times they'll say, I'll start at a community college, get a degree or a certificate, and then later on maybe continue. So that's an important niche that a community college has. So I love teaching that class. And then another class that I enjoyed, it's like I could do it with the back of my hand, is the student affairs class. I did that for so long, so I understand the role of student affairs. And when I was part
I always
of
thought that was an odd name, student affairs. It was like you're in charge of romance or something.
I remember a student always he would come, ma'am, you're in charge of affairs. And I said, well, no, but what can I do for you? But yes, it's just an interesting process. But I learned a lot through all this time. We were TSC, UTB, this whole transition. And to now come full circle and be in the classroom and teach others the importance of those is
Well, let me tell you what I see, and I want your response to this. When I look at the landscape of higher education in the Valley, what I see is that we have largely helped at the upper end. Now we have a medical school. Now we have engineering. And now we have doctoral programs and master's programs, many, many master's programs.
Sure.
It seems to me that the community college level has been neglected. So we've empowered the upper level, and that's magnificent. But it seems that if we have a weakness, it's in the trades.
It's in building.
We need welders.
Absolutely.
We need carpenters. I mean, every time I have a problem in my house, I think about this. I think, man, we need people who know how to do stuff.
Absolutely.
Because I can't fix my air conditioner. And in August, I need that 20-year-old guy who knows how to fix the air conditioner and is limber enough to get up in the attic and do the work,
Absolutely. And I think that is, it's a great point. And I think that's what kind of inspires me to try to maybe become part of the TSC board, because I see an opportunity for me to maybe work with the folks that are there now to see how can we build up some of these opportunities. I was last week.
Let me ask you this: and I don't know if you know. I find it amusing that 20 years ago, when you and I were both on the executive committee, we took in the Amigoland Mall,
Sure.
and it became ITEC.
That's right.
But people still call it the Amigoland Mall. After all these years, it's still referred to as that way. But community memory lasts forever. But in any case, a lot of money was put into that facility to upgrade it, and I know that. I know that they offered building trades and auto mechanics and a lot of welding and those sorts of trade courses there.
Right.
They still do?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
The extent, I'm not sure, because I've gone onto the TSC website and I just don't see a lot there. But that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right.
It could be that, we know some of the websites are not as current as they could be. So, but I want to better understand what that is. Last week I was walking in La Buena Vista in Port Isabel, talking to people about why I want to run for the board and kind of asking for their support. And then this gentleman came up to me and says, I'm from Ohio, but I'm here because I want to identify about 20 to 30 students that I can put them through training, and they'll earn about 20 hours a week. And then after that, if they're mobile, they could earn $80,000, in welding and other trades. And I said, that's amazing. But I don't know who to talk to about this. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So, this is the president of the community college here, and then there are other community colleges in Harlingen and McAllen, but, and I said, I promise you, even if I don't get elected, I will make sure that your information is shared with some folks. But those are the things that we need to cultivate, those relationships, whether it's here in the Valley or even in Mexico. I befriended the gentleman who's the president at STC. And since he's tenure there, he's made some amazing changes in lifting these unmet needs. He started a truck driving business out of Roma, to help Starr County. So that's what I think we need to understand. What are the needs in the region, and how can we grow those? When I was vice president,
let me just slip this in right quick. Was it STCC or STC in McAllen that recently said that they would charge zero tuition?
Well,
or
the
something
one
like that?
that has done that is Austin Community College.
Austin Community College.
They're the ones that I've been reading up about it, and what they're doing. It's very interesting. They'll say starting in the fall, they will have free tuition for students that have started at a certain time, and that's amazing. So, and a lot of those students that attend are probably full financial aid. They'll get scholarships. So what ACC is going to do differently than what other universities are doing, they're letting their students keep that aid. They're paying for their tuition and fees. And when the student is eligible for assistance aid, they're letting them keep it for transportation or housing or ECIS, whatever they need.
Well, in Austin, they're going to need it for housing.
Exactly. But so that's different than what...
But many of them live there, of course. They live at home.
Yeah.
So that'll be wonderful to let them have that support.
So I would love to be able to see that at the local community college as well, to be able to offer that.
Well, I know that a long time ago, there was a grant, a substantial portion from Department of Ed, I think, and the corpus of that grant now is, 7-8 million, maybe more. And I know it used to underwrite the tuition for students in the district.
Right.
And I'm sure it still exists.
I'm sure it does, yeah.
And so that it was a good deal. They brought down the tuition rates for people who were from here, whose parents had paid into the tax base, et cetera.
Of course.
But anyway, you would like to see that dropped further, the tuition to zero if possible.
Right, absolutely. And they do a good job about keeping tuition at a minimum, the lowest tuition. They've done really well about not raising taxes in the region, which is important. I just want to further understand what kind of support is available, and they don't have any of these grants that we talked about earlier.
Okay, like the camp grant, and so there's opportunity.
Any of the TRIO grants.
Well, I used to say that when I first became the VP for advancement. I would say, our problem is that we qualify for a lot of grants, but our hat's not in the ring.
That's right.
And, it's like the old lottery saying, if you don't buy the ticket, you can't win.
And that's what I see is, I'm not sure why they're not applying, because they're eligible to. So maybe it's just the focus to...
You need someone to write the grant,
that's
and
right.
that's often the problem, is it's a very specific talent.
Yeah, and if you qualified for when we were there before, are you qualified now as TSC because of the region? One of the things when I was first hired as a VP for Student Affairs, our wonderful leader asked me a very simple question. She said, during your tenure, what will you be known for? And I went, what? What is it? Why would you make a difference if I hired you? And I said,
what a good question.
Yeah, it was an amazing question. And I thought about it briefly because, you have to respond. And I said, I've talked to students and I understand some of their challenges. I think we need to create jobs on campus because I understand the nature of our students. They have to work while in school. They don't have the luxury of just going to school.
It's true.
They have to work for themselves or their families, their parents. There's always a responsibility. So if we could create jobs on campus that are meaningful, that give them that experience so that when they get their degree, they already have a little bit of a job experience instead of having them work off campus. I said a lot of literature shows that if you are engaged on campus, you're more than likely to stay and graduate. So I wanted jobs on campus, and that's when we started the Student Employment Initiative. And then we wanted to be able to recruit students from the local high schools that graduated in the top 10%. Back then, we were giving them a one-time scholarship of whatever. It was minimum. You're not going to compete when they were getting scholarships for full rides from other universities. Why would they stay with us?
True.
So then, with the help of the whole administration, because, I was told, put together a proposal and let's talk about it. And we did. We put together a proposal, and that's when we started back then it was called the Scorpion Scholars Program.
Yes, I remember.
And we would recruit students that graduate in the top 10% and give them a full ride if they did certain things. They had to enroll full-time. They had to maintain a certain GPA. They had to agree to mentor their second year. So there were some things built into that scholarship that really worked well. So those are the things that I wanted to focus on, and we did. And again, it was because I had the support of the administration to do that.
And are these the things that you want to bring back?
These are yes.
Or some version thereof?
Yes. I think jobs on campus is important at every level, whether it's at a certificate degree or an associate degree. About 3 months, during the summer, I was on campus on a Sunday, and where our campus is located. And this young man was coming towards me, and you never know, right? He's coming towards me, and he asked me if I knew how to speak Spanish, and I said, "Sí." So,
a little bit.
he was asking about a certain classroom, where it was, because he was going to start his dual enrollment class the following day. So he wanted to prepare himself. And I said, honey, I don't have that information. I said, but come early in the morning. Your class doesn't start till 9. And go to a certain place, and they can tell you where your class is. And then I congratulated him for taking that initiative, for wanting to. So I asked him, where are you from? What school? I'm from Porter. Porter. I said, okay. And I looked over. His mother had driven him to campus so that he could look for his classroom. And I said, I'm so proud of you for doing this, for taking the initiative, for wanting to take a dual class and prepare yourself so that you're advancing your degree. And he looked at me and he said, ma'am, tengo que echarle ganas. This is the only opportunity I have to help my parents.
Oh, my.
And I said, that something hit me that day. And he was lost. He had no clue where to go, what to do. So he was doing his part to enroll. We need to do our part in support services, make sure they know where to go, how to navigate. And then I told him, honey, in the summer you have to be real careful. It goes by really fast. You're going to cover a lot of material. So make sure you avail yourself of tutoring, whatever you need. I gave him my card. If you need anything, let me know. But that's something about that young man and his initiative and his drive. What was motivating him? It was the need to help his parents and himself and better prepare. So that's what my passion is about, providing those opportunities for that student.
It's a beautiful story. You remind me of something that I've noticed in recent years, and a student drove it home for me in a random conversation where I asked her about, she was talking about some problem she was having. I said, did you talk to your professor? And she said, no. I said, you should go in his office hours and talk to him. And she said, is that a thing? and I've noticed that students think that the idea of going by to see a professor is an intrusion upon their time. And, whereas when you and I went to college and all the way up to, I'd say probably 10, 15 years ago, most students would go see their professors from time to time. Right. But now, because of online, because of Blackboard, because of the information being there at their fingertips, they don't go. Yeah. So they don't build those types of professional networks and associations and mentorships that used to be quite common. Right. I'll go a whole semester and see 2 or 3 students if I don't require them to come see me. And so it's just odd that they think
They don't.
That,
They can't.
I mean, I like the expression. Is that a thing? Do people actually do that? They think of it as weird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And so that's another thing that could be done is to try to get, at least in the freshman year, you get professors to require their students come by for a chat at least once during the semester. Once they get in the habit. I remember when I was in college, I would often go to see professors just to talk. I didn't have anything particular.
Right.
I just enjoyed their company,
Just making those connections, those relationships.
And and I always felt welcome. I never felt like I was a problem to them. I did have, from time to time, they'd say, well, I have some work to do because, I'm kind of chatty.
Yeah, that's a good thing. No.
So, well, I like your vision. I think that we need this, and we need these programs to be brought in at a lower level. Because those are the critical years. If you don't get them 18, 19, you don't get them there, then, you kind of lose opportunity for them and they lose opportunity for themselves.
Yes.
So I'm very concerned about that, like I said, the trades.
Yes.
Because society needs them.
Absolutely. And I think that we need to understand what's there at the local colleges and what are the areas that we could continue to grow. There's opportunities with SpaceX and with other industries in the area with what's going on at the port.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's wonderful opportunities, but we need to be there, be at the table to have those conversations.
We need to seize the day, or it'll be people coming from far away to take these jobs that should be done
our
by
students should be able to do. So it's an exciting opportunity, and that's why I kind of said, okay, I've been in higher ed for 43 years. Probably retire from where I'm at in a year or two, but I want to have something to stay connected. And I want to give back to the community colleges where I started my academic career as a counselor. So that's important to me. And if I can do that, if I can impact that support, that would be a good thing.
You've been in Brownsville for, like you said, 43 years. And you've seen many, many changes, no doubt, in the community. What is your kind of favorite thing that you've seen happen in this time in the community at large, whether it be, the growth of the university, more cinema, whatever? What do you see happening that you are inspired by or happy to see?
Aside from the growth of the education is my whole life. But aside from that, and the need to continue to do that, is I've seen what's going down in downtown Brownsville, and the changes there, and that's exciting. I kind of. It's taken its whole, I think about Larry Loff and the work that he does,
man, he is
and the restoration
magnificent.
of these buildings and bringing them back to life. That's exciting, and to see the new little businesses that are coming up in downtown. The university is supposed to redo the Majestic Theater, and I'd like to see what's going to happen there, and that's going to be interesting. So that, coupled with what's going on, to me, our biggest gift are our people and the culture. And I love these celebrations. We just went through a Charter Day celebration. Those are fun, and we need to make sure students understand that we appreciate and know the culture, and not only accept it, but we welcome that, and welcome families to come to campus to be a part of the work that they do. So I think our strength is our people, the culture, and the opportunities that are available.
I think so, too. Hilda, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
Love talking to you.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for watching this BSPA video. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you like what you see. And if you really like what you see, go ahead and go to our website, brosoperformingarts.org, and smash the donate button. And then we'll really like you too.